Hey, what's happening, y'all? It's me coming back at you again with another vid. Now, yeah, I know some of you may have observed my hangout that I had, the last two hangouts I had with Low Place for the last, few days or so. And some of my friends, some of the guys are wondering why I continue to have a dialogue with this guy. Well, I'll give you my explanation why I do it. Because first things first, I see that Low Place is getting more desperate and more unhinged, as I would put it, to defend Adonis Stevenson in this Andre Ward situation, okay? And it goes way before that, obviously. And he gets very agitated when someone has an objective opinion about Adonis Stevenson. And it's like, whenever you say something objective, he'll call us a liar, he'll call us all kind of names, such and such. And then when I and others call him a super fanboy of Adonis Stevenson, he takes offense to that and call that disrespectful. I'm like, well, you can't be hypocritical, call anyone disrespectful, and demand respect when you go around and troll everyone and call everyone liars in video responses towards them, like 78, Santi Walden, and others. You can't do that, number one. And number two, you can't call around and call a fighter a coward, given the fact that this particular fighter actually has done more than your fighter. Okay? A lot more, which he openly admitted that fighter has done more than his fighter. And the hangout we had yesterday. Okay? And I remember one dialogue that we had, and this was in the comment section. I think it was in my video, or it was his video I went to go over, commented on. And he said that, well, Andre Ward's a coward, first things first. I'll say it to him and his team's face that they're cowards. I was like, really? Well, in that case, you say you got sources, you talk to sources offline. Why don't you schedule an interview with Ward and his team, put it on your live hangout, and then you call him a coward on that live hangout? Why don't you do that? And then he quickly retracted and say, well, I respect Andre Ward. I really wouldn't do that. You see where I'm going with this, man? You see where I'm going with this, and this guy's motives and his contradictions and his retractions. It's laughable, but the bottom line is the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing is because I want to exploit him further to see how desperate and how unhinged and how much of a fanboy that he is of this guy. And like Bo from Truth in Boxing Fact, shout out to Bo. Bo pointed this out when they had that chat room conversation yesterday, saying, look, live chat in the hangout, I say, look, man, it's cool that you like Adonis Stevenson, but the problem is that you have never shown any type of objectivity pertaining to this guy. It seems like you defend him no matter what the circumstances is. You'll find some angle or some element to prove that he's never in the wrong when it comes to situations of big fights that he can't get done. All right? So, and as I point out to Low Place many times over and over again, you cannot give the man credit for fights that he did not get done. Okay? Was some of those situations his fault? No, it wasn't his fault. I get it. But the fact is, my argument is that you can't have a string of failed negotiations and then act like, no, that's not your fault. No. You have to take responsibility for that. Number one. Number two, if you feel as a fighter that you're not getting fights in the division that you're in, then you need to move up in weight, like other great fighters have done in the past. And of course, Low Place is like, why should he do that? He's 40 years old. Well, the fact is that if you're not getting fights, what do you want him to do? Exactly. Never had an answer for that. He gave me a non-answer for that a while back. So, it's obviously I could repeat these points again, but to me, it was very tiring. I didn't want to go through that again. It just seems like it's repetitive to go over having this conversation with him. But again, I'm doing this because, again, I wanted to see him become more desperate and more volatile and more unhinged, as I have to repeat myself. And apparently a lot of people see that because now he's getting ridiculed in his own live chats, by the way. So another comment that struck out to me is that during that live chat, and one guy said, hey, great job exposing the Ward protection program. First of all, let me answer to that commenter. Let me respond to that. First things first, I'm not protecting Andre Ward. If you look at my channel and look at the history of my channel, I've criticized Andre Ward for all the shit that he was doing wrong. Okay? I criticized him for that. I can be objective to Andre Ward. I can tell you that Andre Ward is not a crossover star. I can tell you that Andre Ward's pay-per-views, his fights with Sergey Kovalev had no business being on pay-per-views. Many of us would agree. Yes, it happened on pay-per-view. We were happy that the fight got done either way. Okay? I can tell you that. Okay? And the fact of the matter is this, though. The fact of the matter is this: Andre Ward, despite the fact that he's been a diva and he's very difficult to deal with when it comes to negotiations and contracts and terms being set, you name it, the fact is that he gets fights done. One way or the other, they get made because Andre Ward does give in to some concessions. Why is it that Adonis Stevenson has refused to do that? Huh? Why has he refused to give in concessions? You can say, well, he's willing to go to another man's country to make a fight. That's one concession. Okay, fine. But as a lineal champion, and as I told Low Place, you cannot always believe you get to dictate terms to the full, to the full of your ability. You can't do that. And I'm gonna point out some examples. He doesn't like history, so I'm gonna go ahead and delve into it. Like me and the boxing librarian, we use it as our precursors to counter your argument. And the fact is, he doesn't like it. So let me give you Marvin Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard, for example, okay? And by the way, I'm not comparing Marvin Hagler to Adonis Stevenson. I'm not comparing Sugar Ray Leonard to Andre Ward. But the fact is this. When Leonard was coming off a 3-year retirement layoff, however you want to call it, right? The fight was generating a buzz. Now, it was a fight people wanted to see for years between Sugar Ray Leonard and Marvin Hagler, okay? When they finally came to when Leonard's camp and Hagler's camp came together and set out the terms, Leonard was the A side. He dictated all the terms into that, going into that fight, while Marvin Hagler was a lineal undisputed middleweight champion of the world, a man who cleaned out his division. Okay, he beat 2 Hall of Famers and 2 undisputed champions in that process, and 3 undisputed champions in that process during his run. Okay, so the fact is, despite all those things, he was the B side of the negotiations. He had to give in to all of Leonard's demands. And all Hagler asked for in return is like, okay, I'll give you all your demands, but this is what I want. I want you to give me an increase in my purse. And Leonard said, okay, I'll give you an increase in the purse, which means that he gets a little bit of a higher purse split, while Leonard at the same time takes a little bit of a lower split. It wasn't that much of a split, but at the end of the day, Hagler got the higher split as long as he agreed to give to all Leonard's demands. So Leonard got the ring size that he wanted. He got the venue that he wanted. He got the glove size. He got the rounds that he wanted. Obviously, it was a 12-round fight, but the rumor mill was that they were trying to negotiate a 15-round fight. I don't see how that was possible, given the fact that 15-round fights were eliminated after the tragedy that occurred in the Ray Boom Boom Mancini fight and the Shun Kong Kim, where Kim died, in result to the injuries and the punishment he took from Mancini in that fight. I mean, it was a good fight, but it was a brutal fight. And Kim took some punishment, severe bombs, and he had a chin. But the fact is, it did, like I said, it became detrimental, and he died, later in the hospital due to the injuries of that fight. And obviously, you can tell. After that fight, Ray Mancini was not the same fighter psychologically after that. But it is what it is. I hate to have unfortunate situations like that occur. All right. So again, that's one instance where the lineal champion didn't get to dictate all the terms. He was the B side. Another example. Train of thought. Oh yeah, Michael Spinks. Michael Spinks was the undisputed lineal heavyweight light heavyweight champion of the world, right? Cleaned out his division. Something that Adonis Stevenson has yet to do. Not even come close to the opposition that Michael Spinks has fought, but that's besides the point. Michael Spinks moves up. He challenges Larry Holmes, became the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. He rematched with Holmes, won that rematch, fought Jerry Cooney, then fought a Eastern European fighter, and then later fought Mike Tyson. Okay? But before the Mike Tyson negotiation process, he was still the lineal champion, right? Mike Tyson was the undisputed champion. He had 3 belts. He had all 3 recognized belts. So, was Michael Spinks the A side in that negotiation process? No. He tried to be, but he wasn't. Him and his promoter at the time, Butch Lewis. No, they were not the A side of that situation. Okay? The fact is, they knew that Mike Tyson was the cash cow. He was the guy who was a draw. He was the one who was very popular. So they had to give in to his demands. Now, as a result, Mike Tyson took the highest purse split, plus the lion's share, because this fight was broadcast on pay-per-view, which I think it was Mike Tyson was guaranteed $23 million and Michael Spinks was guaranteed $14 million. And I don't think he got the lion's share. Mike Tyson did, and he was not the lineal champion. You see where I'm going with this? So, The bottom line is this: just because you're the lineal champion does not mean you get to dictate terms. Carlos Baldomir was a lineal champion at welterweight, right? When he fought Floyd Mayweather, he didn't get to dictate the terms for that fight. Floyd Mayweather did, because he was a guy who drew more than Carlos Baldomir. This is when Floyd was coming up and started to become a, bit of a household name after the Zab Judah fight, or more so after the Toro Gotti fight, I should say. But other than that, Floyd still had to work hard, but at the same time, he was the A side in that negotiations because he was more known, he was the draw, and he was the guy who was able to get to dictate terms when it came to Carlos Baldomir. And Baldomir was the lineal champion. All right? So, it goes back to my point in conclusion that just because you're the lineal champion does not get to mean you get to dictate the terms all the goddamn time. Plain and simple. All right? So, and another thing is that it's funny to me, after all this, low places openly admitted that Andre Ward is a greater fighter than Adonis Stevenson at this point, given the fact that Ward has been through tough roads, nowhere near what Stevenson has done. The only thing Stevenson has done is that he's fought Ward's leftovers, which is Sakio Bika and Chad Dawson. Now, I'll give him credit for Chad Dawson, no doubt. I'll give him credit for that win. All right? But the one thing I wanted low place to answer this question, I asked him, why do you rank him as king and why do you rank him pound for pound number one? Off of that win alone, that's about it. That's about it. Oh, he's knocking out people. Well, okay, but he's knocking out overmatched opposition that no one cares about. And this is the reason why he can't sell out in front of his own crowd, because of it. All right. But basically the bottom line is that he ranks him pound for pound number one, and the fact that he's king because of that one win over Chad Dawson. I mean, hey, it's his opinion, so be it, but it's very, very far-fetched and it's crazy to say that. And I asked Low Places, like, well, because of that, and Low Places said, well, he done something that no one's able to do, to go up and wait and do that, knock out the number one guy like that and win. Well, really? Okay, well, are you saying that what Adonis Stevenson done is far greater than other fighters who have moved up in weight and challenged the number one guys and beat them for their titles? So you're saying that's far greater than what those guys have done? And obviously he couldn't answer that question. Okay, because I mean, many people would argue that maybe Sugar Ray Leonard, what he did is far greater than what Adonis Stevenson's done. Sugar Ray Leonard was coming out of a 3-year retirement. He moved up 2 weight classes to challenge the lineal middleweight champion of the world, Marvin Hagler. No one gave Leonard a chance of hell to win that fight, but he did it. He overcame it and won that fight, coming off a 3-year layoff. 3 years. While Adonis Stevenson was active. Okay, I'm not saying, like I said, I'm not ripping credit away for Adonis Stevenson for beating Chad Dawson. Yes, that was a spectacular knockout win, but that's not the greatest thing in the world. You can't rank a guy pound for pound number one over that, but hey, that's your opinion, so be it. But this is the question I always get. This always seems to elude me. How can you rank a guy king of the division or pound for pound number one when he has yet to fight all the top light heavyweights in his division? He has yet to done that, and it's been 4 years. 4 years. Since he's done anything other than 2013, and you still got him pound for pound number one. That's crazy. All right. What Andre Ward did, Andre moved up and fought the number one light heavyweight in the world. Like it or not, he did it. Stevenson had a chance to do it, but he didn't do it the first time. That's a fact. Even his own promoter admitted that they avoided that fight to chase the money route to go to Showtime for a 3-fight deal. They even admit that, and hopefully get Bernard Hopkins. That was the fight they wanted. All right, but of course that didn't work out for him. So. Yeah, it blew up in their face when they, when they demanded a higher split than what they asked for. But it is what it is, man. Okay? So the thing is that, hey, Adonis Stevenson could have learned from what Sergey Kovalev did, because Sergey Kovalev took the 25% split. That's what he did. And as a result, he got 2 more belts from fight Bernard Hopkins. He got 2 more belts. All right? And the fact that he also became Fighter of the Year. Sergey Kovalev positioned himself at that point to get 7-figure paydays because of that fight. And he got him shot against Andre Ward, the number 2 pound for pound fighter in the sport. Okay. Now, I could say this was a lie that you said in the hangout that I had yesterday. Look to Low Place, but obviously I didn't get a chance to do it because I overheard it, and I can't believe I missed it. But it happens. But the fact is that Low Place said that Andre Ward chose to fight Sergey Kovalev, not Adonis Stevenson. So he claiming that's how Andre Ward fears Adonis Stevenson. No. You see, you got it wrong. That's totally incorrect, and that's a lie. It was Sergey Kovalev's camp who reached out to Andre Ward. Andre Ward didn't reach out to Sergey Kovalev. They reached out to Ward when he was inactive. And at that time, Ward's camp said they were not ready at the time because they were going through some, obviously they were going through some promotional issues. They had other issues they were going through. So they couldn't make the fight at that time, at that certain time. Now, as I recall, when the name Sergey Kovalev was starting to surface, a lot of Kovalev fans allegedly, came out of the woodworks and called Andre Ward a coward. Same scenario that I'm seeing right now with the handful of Adonis Stevenson fanatics. All right. So anyways, back to the point. The point is, both camps got together. They were able to negotiate the terms, and they got a 3-fight deal made between each other, and they were set. So everyone's happy that Andre Ward moved up in weight to challenge himself, and at one point met the #1 light heavyweight in the world, who was ranked #2 pound for pound best fighter in the world. And at that time, Adonis Stevenson was irrelevant. He was an irrelevant champion, and that's a fact. The only time he became relevant is after the fact that Andre Ward took the titles away from Kovalev and he beat him in a rematch, and that's when Stevenson became relevant because there's only one champion left to beat. So that's him, and that's the fight I want to see. Okay, now the one thing I'm very upset about, and this is why I expressed in our hangout, and again, is that why, and this is something I can see why the boxing librarian, shout out to the boxing librarian, why he's frustrated with the whole Anthony Joshua and Wilder situation. Okay, it seems like. And I even talked to some of the, Wilder fans who went and pressure Anthony Joshua, all right? And I was like, you guys can't be calling, Anthony Joshua a coward, all kind of stuff. That's not right to do that, given the fact he just came off a unified title win against Vladimir Klitschko. What I find funny is that Low Place, and I know this is what I got from the hangout we had when we was on EJ Boxing Live with, with Beads, Blood, and everybody else. He seems to be, to agree with the idea that Anthony Joshua should not be pressured to fight Deontay Wilder. Okay, fair enough. Okay, fine. I agree. I mean, they should get the fight made. I prefer to have the fight made now, but it's not going to happen. As long as they can come out with agreement to set up some type of 2-fight deal, whatever, that's cool. So be it. But the fact is that he's okay. He's okay with that idea that Anthony Joshua should not be pressured to fight Wilder. Okay, fair enough. Cool. But the thing is that why in the world are you not applying the same standard to Andre Ward? Why should he be pressured to fight Adonis Stevenson while you're not pressuring on Anthony Joshua to do the same thing? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that the fight should not happen. It seems like you're making all these videos, slanderous videos about Andre Ward, just to call him a coward, to say all kind of things to stir up a lot of controversy. You don't do that. Okay, if you're going to say that Anthony Joshua should not be pressured to fight Deontay Wilder, then you got to say the same thing for Andre Ward. Now, again, that does not mean the fight should not be made, but just saying don't go to the limits of calling this dude a liar and a coward based off these baseless claims. Now, as far as Andre Ward saying that, well, Adonis Stevenson had his chance, yeah, he had his chance to fight Sergey Kovalev. It didn't happen. Of course, the first bid situation when Kovalev came around, he ducked it twice. I get that. But the fact is, I'm being objective here, okay? Stevenson ducked the fight the first time. Kovalev ducked the fight the second time or the third time, whatever you want to call it. The bottom line is they both ducked each other. End of story. But of course, Low Place's argument is like, well, the bottom line is that what happened at the end of the day, the first time doesn't matter. That's his argument. This is fucking unbelievable, all right? They both ducked each other. Plain and simple, okay? So, anyhow, now the term king, and this is the Low Place, you can't call a guy a king just because he holds the lineal title. Now, if that's the case, then maybe Stephen Little, who beat Michael Nunn for the lineal super middleweight title, he was king of the division, right? No one would agree with that. No. He got one upset win over Michael Nunn, but he didn't have no successful title defenses afterwards, right? So that doesn't make him king. Carlos Baldomir pretty much had a fluke victory over Zab Judah, right? Yeah, he got a couple of successful title defenses here against over the hill welterweights like Arturo Gatti, or not welterweight, small guys like Arturo Gatti. But Carlos Baldomir didn't fight all the best in the welterweight division. Yeah, he didn't do that. He wasn't king, right? Would you agree that Carlos Baldomir was king because he was lineal champion? No. The guy that you would consider king to a few guys is Ezra Charles, when he had made many successful title defenses against the top heavyweights of the division of his time, including against Joe Louis, to become the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. Okay, before that, he became the NBA heavyweight champion of the world when he beat Jersey Joe Wilcott. Okay, the first time. So he's considered king. Muhammad Ali, who cleaned out his division twice, is considered king. Michael Spinks, who cleaned out the light heavyweight division, is considered king. Evander Holyfield, who cleaned out the cruiserweight division, is considered king. Mike Tyson, who cleaned out the heavyweight division, is considered king in the 80s. Kasa Tszyu, who cleaned out the light welterweight division, is considered king. Terrence Crawford, well, I mean, he could be at this point. It's debatable. He could probably be considered king now. He's collected all the belts from all the top light welterweights. So that is a definition of the king of the division to low place. All right. You don't become king just because you're a lineal champion. All the lineal champion status does is give you the recognition of being the legitimate heavyweight, the legitimate champion of your division. That's all it is. You only get deserved the title crown king if you actually done the work. Done the work like Andre Ward did at super middleweight, who I forgot to mention. He should be called king of the super middleweights because he did that. Okay, like Joe Kawasaki. So with that said, that's the definition of being a king and being, the difference between being a king and being the lineal champion. All right. So with that said, just show some consistency. And the fact is that I don't like the fact. Well, not I don't like the fact. Like I said, the whole purpose of me doing what I'm doing with, with these hangouts with low place is to further exploit his bias, him being more biased than Adonis Stevenson and refusing to accept any type of objective opinion about the guy. And I'm sure everyone's seen that in all the hangouts, and he's getting very desperate about it. I have to repeat myself. And I have to mention one thing. I'm going to ask anyone this question here and to go off topic a little bit here. He said that... Well, anyways, actually, I addressed that point already. This is about the smaller guys coming up in weight, and the bigger guys should be ashamed of themselves if they lose to smaller guys, which is bullshit as a bullshit argument. So, well, let me ask this question anyway. Should Sugar Ray Leonard be ashamed of himself that he lost to Roberto Duran? And should Virgil Hill be ashamed that he lost to Tommy Hearns? Let me know what your thoughts about that. I am out. Oh, another thing I forgot to mention. Why is it that Andre Ward is getting all this pressure to take the Adonis Stevenson fight, while Adonis Stevenson, on the other hand, never got the pressure to get fights made while his run as a light heavyweight champion? I never seen the videos. I mean, other than people who are being objective about him, but those who are defending him, I didn't see those videos come out. Where are the videos that you're defending your Adonis Stevenson? Why did you put pressure on him while being a light heavyweight champion to get big fights made? That's a question. That's a very good question. I should wait for a response on that. That's all I gotta say. Now I'm out.